Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. Hey, we're back at it again, ready to have some fun. So going back a few episodes ago, I gave you the list of the top 15 bourbons to hunt for during the fall bourbon season. Well, one of those on the list was none other than Remus Repeal number 5. So a lot of times you may ask, Bourbon Judge, well, what does it mean? Like, how do I find out whether or not this is number 4 versus number 3 and so forth? So if you take a look right here in the middle of the neck, you'll see a Roman numeral number 5, or a letter V, technically. So this is the 5th series of Remus Repeal Reserve. Now, going back, this is I was early episode 71. So this is maybe even over a year ago. I think it was over a year ago. I reviewed Remus Repeal number 2. This bad boy here, so you guys can see it. And honestly, it's just one that, it just didn't live up to the hype. So you might ask, well, what was the reason for this? Why did I not like number 2? Couple things. Number 1, and I'll put the link up above as well because I did review this before. I gave it a no buy, leave it on the shelf, do not pay for it, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Well, collect $200, but don't pay for it. You get my drift, right? But seriously, I gave it a do not buy because I just felt like this is supposed to be MGP's top of the line juice. I mean, their top of the line product. It is cool by itself that they are producing their own bourbon, which I'm thankful. That's awesome. But they also make thousands and thousands. They have thousands of barrels of bourbon aging. In my opinion, if this is going to be their top of the line product, they probably should have selected better quality bourbon. That's just my opinion, and that's the reason why I gave number 2 a do not buy. I also thought it was a bit thin on the palate. Just the finish, the nose, the palate, and the finish was just so. And I mean, come on, you're MGP. You got to come correct if you're going to be producing your own top of the line bourbon. So that was number 2. I felt that one was a little thin. I didn't even buy number 3 and number 4. All right, I saw it on the shelf. I gave it the Heisman. I was like, I let it go, honestly, because number 2 was just such a disappointment. However, I've heard from many of my friends in this lovely bourbon world that we all love and enjoy that number 5 is the truth. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. All right. Whew, here we go. So I won't go into too much details about Remus Repeal itself, but I'll say a couple of things. Couple Cliff Notes version, if you will, or Cliff Notes about Remus Repeal Reserve. So this is, of course, the 5th series. Comes out from MGP. Everyone knows MGP. They are the largest distillery, of course, here in the US. They produce tons of bourbon for other whiskey companies out there. I mean, gosh, you name it. There's so many different companies that they work with. Bell Mead. The list goes on forever and ever, right? So that's MGP. They created this bourbon, though, for George Remus. And again, check out the other link from when I reviewed this one. I won't go into too much details, but George Remus was a famous bourbon icon in the bourbon world. And this was actually to kind of celebrate the repeal of Prohibition. So this is a kind of almost like a celebration of the repealing of Prohibition. So this is supposed to be a fantastic product. What are some other cool facts? All right, the MSRP, $90. So it used to be $80. Now it's $90. And when I bought that one a couple years ago, it was $80. This one I bought just this past weekend for $90. I wanted to give it a chance to kind of open it up. So I even, as you guys know me, whenever I have a new bottle, I cracked it open. I poured a little bit in my Infinity bottle. So I'm praying that this bad boy lives up to all the hype. All right. So $90 for the MSRP. And then if you think about it from an age standpoint, this is pretty cool. So a couple of things. Number 1, the proof is 100 proof, just like the last one. It's 100 proof. But this is a blend of not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 different bourbons. 5 bourbons. So I'm going to read this for you super quick, but I will also place it in the video as well, right? As a fly-in. All right, so it's 9% from a 2005 bourbon. So that's 16 years age. So 9% of this is 16-year age bourbon, which also has a 21% rye in the mash bill. Another 5% is a 2006 bourbon. So that's 15-year age bourbon, 36% rye in the mash bill. The next is 19%, which is comes from a 2006 bourbon as well. So that's another 15-year, 21% rye in that mash bill. And the last two, 13% bourbon coming from a 2008 bourbon, so that's obviously 13 years, 21% in that mash bill, 21% rye, I should say, in that mash bill. And last but not least, 54% also coming from a 2008 bourbon, so another 13-year bourbon, right? And then that one has 36% rye in that mash bill. So 2005 to 2008. So this is a blend of basically 13 and 16-year bourbon with, well, there's a 15 in there too, right? So 13, 15, and 16-year bourbon. That's some old ass bourbon. Seriously though, I mean, but that's pretty cool though. So hey, I don't mind the extra $10. Obviously the bourbon is aged a little bit longer because this stuff had, at that point, was only like 10, 11 year aged bourbon. But for this one here, a little bit more from a length perspective, aging in the barrel. So that obviously costs extra money, but at least now I know why. Where's my extra $10 going toward, right? At least I get it. I get it. All right, let's get into this nose real quick. All right. So $90 bottle, 100 proof. But wow, I mean, from the nose, I will say this is tons of like leather, oak. I mean, it's been in the barrel forever. It should have some oak in there, right? Leather, oak. I also get like some raspberries and blackberries kind of mixed in. It's like a good blend of like fruit with like leather, oak, and almost like caramel, traditional bourbon notes. Kind of all blended in very well, actually, from a nose standpoint. From the color, you guys can tell this is pretty damn dark. This is like a, almost like a mahogany, extremely dark blend of like mahogany walnut brown. This is very dark. But again, I mean, it's a bourbon that's mixed with 13. I'm sorry, not 13. 15. 16, yeah, and 13-year bourbon, right? So this is an older bourbon, right? So that's the reason why it's been sitting in the barrels for a long time. So it should be a little bit darker. Kind of makes sense. Okay. Well, hey, I say this each and every week. You guys know me by now. I appreciate each and every one of you out there. I need 3 quick favors. Number 1, please hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. I love going back and forth. You guys give me great ideas, great feedback, and I always think it's just a blast. I always love going back and forth. And then last but not least, please also make sure you hit the subscribe button. Actually, I'm going to call somebody out. In the last episode, someone said, Bourbon Judge, you should do a video of just asterisk only bourbon. That was pretty damn funny. I might have to take you up on that idea, by the way. I love that. That's pretty damn cool. You guys know whenever I do it, and I guess if you don't watch the channel as often, the big joke behind it is that whenever I do a list, top 5, top 10, no matter what it is, right? I always have an asterisk, like an extra one that I throw in there because why not, right? Hell, you might as well. All right. Peace, cheers, salute. I appreciate all of you out there. Let's see how this bad boy, let's see how it goes going down. Let's take a look. Whoa. Damn. Wow. That is, hold on. It's only 100 proof. All right. For 100 proof bourbon, that has some knockout power. Woo! All right, hold on. Let me bring it back in real quick. Let me bring this back in. I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying it has some power. But let me bring it back. Hold on, one more second. Give me a second here. Wow, that's interesting. So a couple of things. Number 1. Everything from the nose transfers to the palate. This has a lot of oak in it. Extremely oak forward. This is a very complex bourbon as well. Damn, that's 100 proof. Okay, that's interesting. This is an extremely complex bourbon. Tons of oak, tons of like blackberries and raspberries kind of mixed in, folded in with like the like leather and some caramel in there. The finish is extremely long and extremely bold, especially, hear me out, especially for 100 proof bourbon. That has some kick-ass power to it. I need to, just because I have it here and I have an extra glass, I got to compare it real quick versus number 2. Like I said, I never bought number 3 and number 4 because I was just disappointed with number 2 so much that I said, it's out the door. Woo! Wow, that's pretty special. I have no poker face. I know my man Dave Markowski up in Massachusetts always jokes around. He's like, Bourbon Judge, I want to play poker with you. You do not, because you'll take my money, Dave. No way. I have no poker face. But I am going to try number 2 just to make sure, because a lot of times some bottles do open up after a period of time. This has been a couple of years, so let's just see. Cheers, everyone. Nope. Still bland. Hey, the verdict is in. If you find Remus Repeal Reserve number 5, folks, please, and I tell you, and I don't say this a lot, you need to pick this up ASAP. And I mean ASAP. Make sure you look for that label right there, right here in the middle. Letter, well, V. Roman numeral number 5. This is a fantastic bourbon. I can't lie, I was extremely hesitant just to even buy it by itself. It lives up to the hype. But if by chance you're somehow find an old version, number 2 on the shelf, that one, please walk right past it, put your head down, and just walk right out the store. Don't even think about trying it. It's not even in the same category. They're not even in the same world. This is like high school football, and this is like, oh God, I hate even saying this, the Patriots in their prime with Brady. It's that much of a difference. Peace, cheers, salute. I'll talk to you guys and gals later. See ya.